Hello and welcome to episode 3 of MtG Time Walk. We're in October of 1996 and the set is Mirage. Mirage was the first set to come out that was created specifically for drafting. And so you can see more synergies between the cards than you have in previous sets. For example, if you use Homelands boosters for drafting, there's practically no synergies between the cards, and you're pretty much very alone if you want to build a deck out of only Homelands cards. With Mirage, you could build a deck out of only Mirage cards. It was the second large expansion set after Ice Age, and there's basic lands in here and basic spells like variations on Disenchant and so on. I think that the first 3 are uncommons, then there's the rare, and then come the commons. Yes, that looks about right. We have Merfolk Raiders. It's a summon spell, so creature spells back then were still called summon spells. They have Phasing and Island Walk. Island Walk is Landwalk is retired right now by Wizards of the Coast, and Phasing was an ability that was only for the Mirage block. It meant basically that you cast this, and every second turn you can only use the cards because on the turn after it comes into play, if it's not phased out, it phases out. And afterwards, it phases in again, so in the next turn. So, yeah, you get a cheaper creature, so for only 2 mana you get a 2/3 creature, but they have a drawback of phasing. Jungle Worm, that gets weaker for each creature beyond the first that is assigned to block it. Dark Ritual, oh, that's nice. I think the Mirage block was the only block that used Mana Source as the spell type. Dark Ritual before, because it was a mana ability, used the interrupt type. All interrupts are now errata to be instants, and for a short while they were called mana sources. Mana source pretty much meant that they are faster than everything else. Mana abilities cannot be countered. They cannot, if they go on the stack, no instant can interfere with that. Dazzling Beauty is an instant. It has also a draw card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep, so it's a cantrip, a slow trip. Goblin Tinkerer can destroy target artifact. That artifact deals a damage to its casting cost to Goblin Tinkerer. Benevolent Unicorn, beautiful artwork. Mirage used very bright colors. It was a jungle world and they used lots of bright colors. Village Elder can sacrifice a forest to regenerate a creature. Regenerate, of course, is seldomly used nowadays. It's also semi-retired, I think, by Wizards. Sapphire Charm. There was a cycle of charms at the common level that were modal spells. You could choose one of 3 effects. So, for example, draw a card at the beginning of the next turn's upkeep, or target creature an opponent controls phases out, so they're out for a turn, or creature gains flying until end of turn. Blinding Agony. For each 1 damage dealt to an enchanted creature, Binding Agony deals 1 damage to that creature's controller. And creepy artwork. So, it's an enchantment. Flash wasn't keyworded back then, so they have to spell it out. You can choose to play it as an instant. If you do, bury it at end of turn. Bury is also a keyword that is now retired. It meant destroy, cannot be regenerated. Ritual of Steel. It's a creature enchantment, so there were no auras back then. It said enchant creature in the type line. Delirium looks like our first uncommon. It's an instant. You can only play on target opponent's turn. You can tap a creature, and that creature deals to the player an amount of damage equal to its power. Floodgate. It's a wall. The creature type wall had a built-in rule, basically what is now defender. It could not attack. Back then you only had to deduce it from the type line, summon wall. Bad River, oh, these were the first fetch lands back then. So they came into play tapped, and you could sacrifice it to search a library for an island or swamp card, so basically one of 2 allied colored lands, and put the land into play untapped. For rare, Telem Tor's Edict. Remove from the game target permanent you own or control. Okay. Okay. Visions is the first expansion to Mirage. Came out in February of 1997. And it took place on the same plane as Mirage, which actually wasn't a plane of its own. It took place on Dominaria. The first, I don't know how many, 20 expansions or so, they all took place on Dominaria. So it was a subcontinent of Jamura where it took place. I think the uncommons and the rare are also in the front, so I'm going to go through the comments here. Sisei's Ring, you can tap it to add 2 colorless mana to your mana pool. Play this ability as a mana source, we've heard that before. Betrayal, it's an enchantment. Knight of the Mists, oh, it has flanking. Flanking was the second new ability from the Mirage block after phasing. So basically made the opponent's creatures weaker when if they didn't have flanking when they blocked this creature. Elven Cache. Okay. It's graveyard recursion. Sukata Lancer also has flying and is unaffected by summoning sickness. So you can see that haste also wasn't keyworded back then. Solfatara. Ooh, that's nice artwork. Very mysterious. Vanishing. Creatures phase out. Knight of Valor also has flanking, lots of flanking going on here. Remedy, you can prevent damage. Back in the day there were a lot of damage prevention spells. They've dialed back on that now. Goblin Swine Rider, that's funny artwork. You don't see that apart from, well, maybe some fun joke cards right now. If it's blocked, it deals 2 damage to each attacking creature and 2 damage to each blocking creature. Coercion. You can look at target opponent's hand and choose a card from that hand. The player discards that card. Matopi Golem. You can regenerate it and put a -1/-1 counter in. That, well, might work with the new Amonkhet set with the -1/-1 counters, but it's, yeah, well, a bit expensive. 5 mana for 3/3. Teferi's Honor Guard. Flanking and uses an allied color. So you can basically, if an opponent wants to play removal on it, if you have 2 blue mana, you can phase it out and prevent that. Prosperity, each player draws X cards, might work for a mill deck. And a rare is Suleiman's Legacy. Uses enemy colors. When Suleiman's Legacy comes into play, bury all Djinns and Ifrits. And whenever a Djinn or Ifrit comes into play, bury it. Yeah, well, there are a lot of Djinns and Ifrits in this set, but of course, in a vacuum, this card does nothing. So, if you're drafting this, maybe not first pickable. Now on to the next core set. This is 5th edition, came out in March 1997. So Wizards was pretty much back on track on regularly producing sets back then, because the set before Mirage was Alliances, and the set before that was Homelands, and there were 8 months between them. And you can see now that there's cards coming out much more regularly. So, I recognize that card in the front. We might actually get, if you're lucky, we get in Sylvan Library or Mana Vault in here. But right now, this is an uncommon. This is Killer Bees. Plague Rats. They get stronger the more Plague Rats are in play. Twiddle. Tap or untap target artifact, creature or land. Oh, Force Spike is a sort of counterspell. You probably know that. And you can see it's an interrupt. They still had interrupts back then. Circle of Protection White. They were pretty much there from Alpha. I'm not sure when they were rotated out. Pearl Unicorn, yeah, 2/2 for 3 mana. Boring. Oh, but you can see they're quoting Lewis Carroll through the Looking Glass on this. So they still used real-life sources for the flavor text. They've also dialed that down or pretty much retired it. They write their own flavor text now. Script sprites. It's a common green creature that has flying, and everybody played with that, and it was pretty much normal that you have a green creature that flies. Nowadays, I think when a green creature flies, it has to have a pretty big drawback, or it has to have a second color like white or red or so. Flare deals damage and draws a card. Slow trip. Torture can put -1/-1 counters on the creature it enchants. Portent. Look at the top 3 cards of target player's library. It's sort of a slower brainstorm. The Venet Archer can deal 1 damage to attacking or blocking creatures. Llanowar Elves. Oh, nice. Eternal playable. The original mana dog. Killer Bees. It's the second green creature that flies in this pack. For 3 mana, it's 0/1, it flies, and you can pump it. Pretty much, yeah, works well with the Llanowar Elves. And funny artwork. Fire Drake. It's also pumpable, but yeah, it's worse than the Killer Beast, I think. You can only pump it once. Blight. If enchanted land becomes tapped, destroyed at end of turn. They still had more land destruction back then, and not only red but also black had land destruction back then. Now for a rare, oh, Fungusaur. At end of any turn in which Fungusaur was damaged, put a +1/+1 counter on it, and it's a 2/2 for 4 mana. It comboed pretty well with the Prodigal Sorceress that could ping your any creature. And I've never seen this artwork before. 5th edition had lots of new artwork. For example, Plague Rats was the old artwork that they used from Alpha and so on. And Fungusaur, a lot of other cards, for example Fungusaur, they use new artwork. I think that was pretty much, this is also new artwork, an action by Wizards to get more copyrights, because I think in Alpha and so on, the artist still owned the copyright to the artwork, and in newer sets, Wizards commissions that art and they own the copyright now to that artwork. Now on to a pretty strange set. This is Portal. Magic is a very good game, and lead designer Mark Rosewater said that the biggest drawback, the biggest flaw of Magic is that it's very hard to explain to newer players. And Portal was one of the first sets that came out that had very simple cards, very simple rules, that was there for new players. So when you see this, the cards will have a bit of a different design. There will be lots of vanilla creatures in here. There's also lands, you can see them. Oh, that's pretty nice. You can see the expansion symbol for Portal. It's a portal. We have a basic land. It only now uses the mana symbol. That was new back then, I think. Forest. Monstrous Growth. You can see that there's a clear distinction between the rules text and the flavor text. And the rules text is also in bold, and it's a sorcery. There are no instants in here. When you can play a sorcery during your opponent's turn, so pretty much an instant, it says so on the card. Elvish Ranger is a summon creature. It's a 4/1. You can see they show you a sword and a shield, so that you know this one is offensive and this one is defensive. Hit points and life points, or damage points and hit points. Knight Errant. You can see this is a vanilla creature, and so the rules text is missing, but it's still, there's space here, and the flavor text is always on the bottom half. Angelic Blessing. Charging Paladin gets +0/+3 until the end of turn when it attacks. Oh, that's a tip card. So it's a general deck building tip. Okay. Wood Elves. Oh, that's actually this card is played in some EDH decks because it tutors for a land. It's 3 mana for 1/1. Okay, yeah. And they have no creature types. I'm pretty sure that they got errata to be elves right now, or elven warriors or something. But to simplify it, there were no creature types on this. They were just creatures. Sorcery, destroy all islands. Oh, no, sorry. I thought that this was already silver, but back then the distinction between common, uncommon, and rare cards via the expansion symbol was not yet established. Ingenious Thief is flying, and when it comes to play from your hand, look at your opponent's hand. Okay. Spotted Griffin flies. Lizard Warrior does not fly. Cloak of Feathers. It's a sorcery, gives a creature flying, and you draw a card. Gorilla Warrior. Let's see, 2/3, vanilla creature. And Skeletal Crocodile. And I'm not sure where the rare in this is. Pretty sure that this could be the rare, could be an uncommon, I'm not sure. I have to look it up. Now for our last set for today. This is Weatherlight. This is the second expansion to Mirage, so it's the third set in the Mirage block and concludes the Mirage block. We're in June of 1997. And there's actually flavor text on here. Sisay of the Weatherlight has been kidnapped, and the remaining crew of the flying ship must risk everything to recover her. From the port of Imperial Benalia to the mysterious forest of Lanoa to the volcanic heart of Bogadan, adventure awaits them at every turn. Come aboard Weatherlight and book passage for adventure. The adventures of the crew of the Weatherlight were, I think, around for 2 or 3 blocks, and the magic story followed these people on the Weatherlight. Sort of like Star Trek The Next Generation, or the original series. I'm not sure where the commons and uncommons are. So we're just going to go through these cards. Revered Unicorn, it's a 2/3 for 2 mana, but it has a cumulative upkeep. We've seen that before, maybe in the Ice Age blocks. So in Ice Age and Alliances, you have to play 1, then second turn you have to play 2, then 3, and so on. If you cannot, you destroy this, sacrifice this creature. And when it leaves play, you gain life equal to Revered Unicorn's last paid cumulative upkeep. Hidden Horror, you can choose and discard a creature card or bury Hidden Horror, but it's a 4/4 for 3 mana. Downdraft, target creature loses flying until end of turn. And yeah, it's an enchantment, so you can reuse it or can sacrifice it to deal 2 damage to each creature with flying. So it's a hurricane in waiting. Heart of Bogadan. I think this might be the rare. It's an enchantment, cumulative upkeep 2. If Heart of Bogadan's cumulative upkeep cost is not paid, Heart of Bogadan deals damage equal to its last paid cumulative upkeep to target player and each creature he or she controls. That pretty much should be the rare in this set. So we now have Bogadan Firefiend, still summon spirits, so summon spells, not creature spells. Flux, Sorcery, Fog Elemental, Banalish Missionary, Redwood Treefolk, Fit of Rage, Striped Bears, lots of bright artwork, and new artists. They changed their artist lineup around from the Mirage block onward. Betrothed of Fire, you can sacrifice an untapped creature to give that creature +2/+0, or you can sacrifice this creature to give all your creatures +2/+0. Yeah, can work pretty well. Haunting Misery, you have to remove creature cards from your graveyard. So funnily enough, it says creature cards, but there are no creature spells, they are all summon spells, so that's also one of the reasons why they changed it to creature spell to make it more clear. Sage Owl, it's nice, I played one in my EDH deck. Comes into play, you pretty much scry 4. It's a bad scry 4 because you cannot put them on the bottom of your library, you have to rearrange them. It's a 1/1 flyer. And Dusk Rider Falcon. It's a 1/1 flying protection from Black Falcon. And it said Summon Falcon back then because they were pretty specific back then about the creature types. And in the great creature uptype, it got errata to just say bird, so you can play bird tribal. Okay, I hope you like this. I hope you like this blast from the past. The next set in line should be Tempest, so stay tuned for that episode. And until then, like, subscribe, share this video, or comment if you like. And until then, see you next time. Bye. Hello, it's me again. I think I'm gonna make this a regular thing to post a short video after saying goodbye, but I want to open a side quest for all the viewers. What I have here is a Vanguard gift box, the first gift box produced by Wizards of the Coast, along with the Mirage blog, which we just saw opened. And if this video reaches 10 likes, I'm gonna open this box. And until then, I'm just gonna continue with the Time Walk series. So remember to like and subscribe and share this video. Bye!